Ask around about her. She don't get emotional.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength, where we're giving you the inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course, with me, I got some gentlemen of extraordinary league guys. Let's go around the table and introduce ourselves, please.
KR Jones is in the building.
Happy birthday to that brother Jones. Everybody make some noise for Jones one time. Right? He is back from the waters of the Gowanus. Official. Ready? Right?
My young old ass is here. Yeah.
He's in the house.
Wise. That's what the man
Young and
is.
old
Wise.
at the same damn time. All right, my fault. We got to get back on track. Who else is in the building?
You're trainer Corey, a.k.a. your favorite trainer's favorite trainer.
That's right. The homie Troy is out on location doing Troy things. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from near and far, we have a very special guest with us today. Roz Mays, a.k.a. Roz the Diva. What's going on, love? How you doing today?
What's good, gentlemen? Thank you for having me this morning.
It is splendid to have you. I'm feeling like we are off on a good start, especially since my man came in with the champagne.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Okay, listen. Usually when I'm recording podcasts with somebody, we're recording over Skype and I'm sitting on my couch.
Okay.
Which is equally lovely, but I mean, I could start off with champagne every podcast. That's fine.
Look at that. Well, we are the gentlemen of extraordinary league, Roz.
Sometimes
You know,
we set the bar a little high.
we have to.
Everybody
Yeah,
needs
you
to pay
did.
attention going forward.
Here we go.
Going forward, that's how the diva is treated.
That's right. And if you are a
We'll know
past
about it.
guest on our show, please do note that this is a new policy that we've introduced.
Don't come back looking for 40s. You know.
Anybody who's hearing this right now, hey, we ain't had no damn champagne.
Hey, look, we started, we were just pouring cups of water. You know,
It's increments to the game. That's what we're trying to tell you, you
There's
know?
levels to this shit.
We got to take it one step at a time, but eventually we're going to get there. That's what we're trying to do, you know? So, Roz, I would like to go through what you're working on currently, how you got into this whole space, and, you know, how you're putting your stamp on this wellness industry. And we have a way that we like to do this, Roz. I want to take it back a little bit for a second. Roz, I want to get the listeners involved and help them to understand where you were when you first fell in love with this thing that we call wellness.
Let's say I was probably October 2007.
Okay, that's very specific. Let's go through that.
Yeah. So I've been fortunate. I've been active my whole life. My sister and I did so many years of softball, and we were both on school teams, on off-school teams. My father coached both our teams. My mom brought snacks to all the teams. So we were that family.
There we go.
Like cheering too hard. My grandmother's running us around Long Island to different games. So being active wasn't ever something that I had to learn to do because we had a good time doing it. So I always had, for the most part, positive associations with exercise and with fitness, which is my area of wellness. And I say specifically October 2007 was when I fell in love with it in my adult, in the adult phase of my life is when I fell in love with it. And that's when I started pole dancing.
Okay.
And pole dancing turned out to be my gateway drug into doing fitness as a full-time career. And when I started doing pole, I did it just because it was a class at the gym. It had dance in the title. I have a Beyonce complex. And I was like, well, let's just make it happen and see what happens. And when I tell you I got my ass kicked thoroughly all day till the white meat showed, actually till it was Cajun because I was bruised everywhere.
Yeah.
But so that really, I had no idea at the time, but that kicked off an extraordinary period of my life, which I'm still in now.
Okay. Wow. So this is pretty fascinating to me. I hear the Beehive is live and direct in full effect in this piece
Of
right
course.
now.
All day.
Do we have to unpack the Beyonce complex, or?
Well, you know, I think it's similar to everybody's complex, where I live my life basically waiting for her to take me on stage. So at any point in time, like, she might pop out of the snow, and I gotta be ready on beat with some glittery outfits, which I typically have in my bag anyway, because I'm a pole dancer. So it's my job to conduct myself as if I'm on an audition at all times.
I respect the hell out of your whole gangster right now.
That makes sense.
Like, she's coming through. Roz is ready to roll. She's like, oh, what you need? A sequence? I got you right here. Hold
B,
on.
I got you. I got a passport and no kids. Let's do this.
You ready, B? She's like, yes. Let's
go
obviously
get
I am.
Title of the autobiography, Passport No Kids, let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm checking this out. It's like, all right, cool. I got to pick this up. You know, they put that in a little newsstand on the way to the jet. You got to jump on that one,
Man,
you
gotta
know?
read
Let's
that.
do it.
Hell yeah. So, Roz, okay, now I have never tried pole dancing. I have never attempted this, but I've seen the athleticism that is necessary inside that space. You're talking about disciplined hand strength, disciplined inner workings of the thigh trying to get up. If I'm understanding it the way that I've seen the images to display, you know, the spinning, the ascending up and all the rest of that stuff, people take that for granted. Can you explain to me a little bit how hard that actually is?
So it is the hardest thing I've ever done with my body physically. And it is the best time failing I've ever had at the gym. I'll say that. That I can say with full confidence, and that's how I teach my classes. I tell my students, you're going to be horrendous today. You're not going to be sexy. You're not going to be strong. You're not going to be coordinated. You're going to look like crap. But it's going to be the best time failing you'll ever have. And I'm pretty proud to say that's basically how they come out feeling too. But with pole dancing, the physicality is bananas.
Yeah.
Because I would liken it to a mix of the balance of a figure skater, the flexibility of a gymnast, the core strength of a beast, and you got to have the swag of Beyonce with that too.
Well, damn.
It's I call my trifecta of pole dancing is strength, flexibility, and then dance.
Okay.
So I would say the parts of your body that are going to get the most beat up, really all of it, but particular, I've had bruises in places I didn't know I could bruise. As you mentioned, inner thigh strength, because we're constantly sitting on the pole.
For sure.
It's literally just sitting up there, having some tea. And hand strength is certainly a part of it, but really your shoulders get beat up. My whole shoulder girdle, I'm surprised that I still have a shoulder girdle, quite frankly. I mean, it's a little tendonitis happy, but you know.
Okay. I hear you. Now, these guys made fun of me for my aerial silks class that I took.
Where'd you
I
take
did not,
that?
sir. I supported you on that.
No, you guys made fun of me.
They made fun of you.
Tones
I was
out here.
there. I've
I
done
won't
that
let you know I
before,
was
fam.
attacked savagely by my cohorts inside this room.
Actually, that was
minute.
Chef Prosper.
Yeah, that was not me,
Also-
fam. That was not. I've done the silks before. I did the trapeze shit too.
So it wasn't even just them. It was them and our guest, friend of the show, if you will. That's a alleged name. Chef Prosper was throwing some shots at me for taking this on. But I'd like to ask the guys how they felt typically about this whole pole dancing space and the athleticism required to participate in it. Because I know I got the receipts, Roz. That's
I
what
want to try. I want to get in on the pole. I never tried a pole dancing.
There we
class.
go.
I've done the silks.
Please
The
do.
silks was fun. It was a challenge. Trapeze was easy.
I have not been anywhere near a pole, or supporting, if that matters. Maybe support. from time
That's
to
how you
time.
feel?
Yeah.
I knew he was going to go there. It was going to come out eventually.
Oh no, like I am very, very, very pro strip clubs.
There we go.
Strippers was good.
Hey.
Listen, I'm the one that asked the manager if I can get on stage, if their insurance covers that, and if it doesn't, that's fine because I'm covered. So
There we go. Shout out. So Jones is out there supporting. Go ahead, Jones.
I mean, I'm around to try. Don't get me wrong. I've never been in the aerial silks like Tone doing that full on split that he was in.
Again, you're
Wait,
a
you was in
hater.
a full split.
he was in a full split.
As full of a split as
Oh.
I can generate, I could say
Congratulations.
that.
Damn.
You know, I'm not going to go all the way out there and tell you that it was
Wow, my guy did a full split.
Listen, I heard some tears, and I attempted that.
Oh,
so
man, I hope that was my
shout
pants.
out to your
Yeah,
I hope that was my pants.
exactly, it's like, all right, I'm gonna smile for this because if I'm not, I'm gonna cry. Please help.
When I
Throwing
tell
out
you
there.
that could be the caption for every pole picture and video you have ever seen. I don't care how cute they look, how effortless it looks on their faces. We are all on the inside trying not to die,
Yeah.
but we point our toes and extend the legs.
See. So I was trying to understand it. You know,
I got you.
I try to navigate through these spaces in an informed way. So if I'm going to talk about it, I have to do it. That's the
here for that.
credo that I have to operate by, Roz.
That's
I
the
appreciate
tone
you
that
doing.
Tone lives his life by that creed of point to toe,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
then the leg. That's what he says.
Exactly. I was born in second position. That's really where I was at. You know, it's making
Oh, you
this all
got the
happen.
ballet too. You just-
Yeah,
this
you
guy-
know.
Tone is rounded, fam.
well-versed.
Listen.
Tone is rounded. I thought I went places, and then
Don't
Tony
sleep.
takes 2 steps past me. He's like, "Hey,
extraordinary.
I thought I went somewhere. I opened the door. Tony waiting on the inside.
He was like, "Hey, welcome.
Hey, well, I'm glad you finally
glad you
figured this out.
We are now arrived."
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention a good friend of mine. Her name is Ashley Osborne, and she lives in Cali, and she is taking up pole dancing, right?
Oh, snap.
So it went from one of these things where it was, she had it like on her story, and then it went to like close friends, blah, 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 and then it ventured into everybody, and now it's actually on her page where you can actually see, and she feels comfortable enough to do so. And I know that she had a lot to address with like the stigma of pole dancing and being a successful woman. She works for maybe like IMAX or something like that out in Cali.
Awesome.
So I guess my question to you is, could you speak to the negative stigma around pole dancing and how you overcame that and how you, I guess, presented it to the world?
Yeah, well, one of the reasons why I started doing fitness as a full-time career, and we're at about 5.5 years since I started doing that, is because I got fired from several full-time jobs for pole dancing.
Shout out to getting fired from jobs. I'm also here for that.
Yes. Again, Tom was on the other end of the door going, welcome to getting fired. Welcome to
Basically,
getting fired.
every time one of my friends would lose a job or get fired or something, I'm the first phone call that they make because they know they're like, Roz, I think my life is up. I was like, nah, son, we good. Here, just do this.
Exactly.
Get the date that insurance is ending.
Yeah.
And then meet me at 2:00 on a Tuesday just to straight chill because we can now.
Exactly. Look at that.
Just kidding. We're hustling till we die. But the stigma is real. I personally, my family has known since day one, mainly because when I started polling, I was living with my parents on Long Island. So when they picked me up from the train, when I got home, they're like, how was the gym? I was like, well, almost died on a pole and I'm not stopping this. And they're like, cool beans, do it. And the only person that I was ever nervous about was telling my grandmother. Shout out to Grammy, shout out to Mom, Dad, Lindsay, my sister, because they're the original Team Diva, as I call them. But with my grandmother, Grammy's probably not going to wear pants to church. So I was like, should I? We waited until I had a really big project. I was doing some stunt work as a pole dancer. So I was like, Grammy's going to find out. So let's shoot here. Grammy is co-signing all day, every day, though, because she's Grammy. So I figured literally once those 4 people, Mom, Dad, my sister, and my grandmother, they co-sign, I don't care about anybody else. And even if the 4 of them didn't co-sign, I'd probably still do it anyway. But still, but in terms of careeriness, I absolutely, because I was never working a corporate job, but I was with some conservative nonprofits, and they weren't exactly about that life. And, I defend to this day, I will always defend a company and managers for keeping their company healthy and eliminating threats, because that's your job as the leader, is to clear the bullshit out of the way so everybody else working under you can just electric slide to glory.
Right.
The thing that really hurt me and honestly still hurts me now is that people consider me a threat to someone's success. And the same excuse always comes up. It's, well, we're okay with it, but what would happen if these people found out, or our clients, or your students? It was always something where basically, how can we pass off our own fears onto someone else, as if that made it better.
Yeah.
And, I've had a lot of time, because this has been years in the making now, so I've had many a time to think about this. And it's like, well, if you like me as you say you do, you could also just defend me if some shit pops up. You could do that, but that was, never really an issue. And then some jobs, it wasn't, to be quite honest, I was just royally effing those up. So I don't know if I could drop F-bombs, so I'm trying to be on
You
my...
totally got it.
Okay,
Be whoever you need to be.
I fucked all the way up in some jobs where it wasn't just pole, but I definitely, I deserve to get fired from that.
I hear you.
So, to be quite honest, but that's the biggest thing. And then also, besides pole, I would say people have a huge problem with the fact that I'm plus size and I have the audacity to call myself a personal trainer or be involved in fitness in any way, shape, or form.
Why do you believe that is?
Well, because people they believe that if you are an athlete, then you're supposed to look like you're supposed to look a certain way. And especially if you're a female athlete. If you are over 120, maybe 140 on a good day, then it's over. Like, because obviously if people work out, they're not large. So obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. Spoiler alert, I do. And I must not go to the gym and practice what I preach. Spoiler alert, I wear sports bras 24 hours a day. And so, but some people, it ranges from furious to confused to disgusted.
Right.
But I also have to be sure to remind myself and to other people, for every one funky ass comment I get about someone telling me that I'm a black fat whale and that I have no business on anybody's pole, I literally have 10,000 people going apeshit in my corner because of those same reasons that other people find me to be a liability.
Right. How good does it feel to get rid of the gatekeepers?
I'm just excited that I can pay my rent consistently.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to hold my breath for the next 2 weeks.
It's all right.
October's looking great, but right now, September, oh.
That is the burden of an artist in the truest sense, right? Because so there's two parts of that story that I think resonates pretty well with the type of context that we operate in. Something about people who are born to be leaders are never going to be great at taking direction in some space. So I can tell you right now that I was never a perfect employee in any of the spaces that I can, because if you have an opinion, inherently, you're going to voice that opinion whenever you see some kind of conflict inside the credo that was handed out to you. Hey, this doesn't make sense. This plus this seems like it's going away from here. And a good employee would just follow the script. If you're questioning it and you're stopping the production every single time, it gets a little dicey. And that's why I see some of the friction in the story. At least that's selfishly what I'm projecting onto that story. That's what I hear inside that space.
Yeah, I would say the friction was less about like me like vocally like putting it out there like I'm a pole dancer, love me, damn it.
Yeah.
But the friction was more of, I think, between me and like the universe, because the universe was like, heifer, get out and go do fitness full time. But I was like, for years I was like, no, I can't do it because it's not stable. In pole dancing, I don't know a single person that lives a decent life off of just pole dancing. And at that time, it was before I was doing personal training and my other stuff.
Right. So
I was like, it's not practical. And even for a very creative person, I'm extremely type A with some things. And, I love to dance, but I also went to business school.
Okay.
So there you go. So I'm looking at spreadsheets and two-step.
Right.
And I was like, the spreadsheets don't add up. No matter how cute the two-step is, this isn't going to make sense. I can't do it. And the universe was like, all right, I'm going to give you 4 more months. And then after a while, I'm going to come mess this thing up again for you and then try and tell you, go do this. And then I would fight it again. And they're like, Jesus, fine. Go ahead and take another 5 minutes, get your life together, find your balls. And after a while, I feel like the last straw was the last job I got fired from, because there's been more than one. And it was like, listen, I'm just going to literally take everything possibly away from you, so you have no choice but to go after this. And it has been worth it 10 times over. So I think the conflict was far more internal for me than it was external. And even when I started doing fitness full time, for about the first 2 years, I had a lot of guilt that came with it because I was very fortunate. I was a scholarship kid through and through. I went to private schools from the time I was 6 until I graduated college. And I was really, really fortunate because we were the heavy scholarship family. We were so fortunate for. And I felt like my parents, I swear they probably sold a kidney, maybe 1.5 livers. I don't know how they afforded to do the things that Lindsay and I did and had the opportunities, but they made it work. So I've got that working class guilt over here, like my parents nearly died.
Right.
And what are you going to do now? Go to the gym and get sweaty on a pole? Are you kidding me? And now, mind you, they also were rocking with me 24/7. They're like, you be good. I've been waiting for them to be like, what are you actually doing? Like, to be parents?
Yeah.
But every time I come to them with like crap news, they're like, you figure it out. I was like, okay. But yeah, that guilt was because I felt like I should have been doing so much more. And especially, I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but being that like, you know, the blessed black child, not in my family, just like in schools, it was like, oh, you're going to be the one to be the next Obama, and you're going to be the one to like overachieve. And so if I feel like I'm not overachieving, then I'm failing. And so I felt like for the first 2 years of entrepreneurship, it was like, I'm actually just going to go jump off the Brooklyn Bridge right now because that would be cheaper than trying to do this as a career. And I didn't jump, spoiler alert, and glad I didn't jump. And now that guilt is subsided a lot, you know, because I can take care of myself, which is the most important thing.
That's what's up. Roz, I hear a lot of commonality inside of what you're saying. Fellas, you got any comments on that?
I tell you, I feel you on the middle class kid.
Oh, Jesus.
I feel you on the level of guilt. When I decided not to go to medical school, everyone thought it was the craziest thing in the world. And, you know, then they're like, "You're gonna go do what? You're gonna work in a gym?"
Yeah.
I remember that
Your
conversation.
father went to Princeton. You're gonna work in a gym.
Yep.
Oh, and then when I dropped out of college, another one of those. You know, you just gotta do your thing. And then when you get to come back and be like, "See, told you." Yeah. Then everybody tried. At least you had the support up front because I had mad beef, right?
Yeah.
I had a lot of beef, but then afterwards, everyone had my back the whole time. Go back in retrospect, everybody was like, "Yeah, we knew you were going to be great."
Oh, we knew you'd work it out.
Man,
Magic how that happens.
man, you told me I couldn't sleep on your couch. That's what you told me.
It's like the revisionist history starts to get ready. It's like, oh, look at that. Look at you rocking now. You remember when I told you to go do that?
So my arms was open, man. I ain't never see your hand once.
For me, I think about it when literally, my mother was here with me for a week. So it's aggressive to have your mother stay with you
Yeah.
in your apartment.
In a New York size apartment.
In a New York size apartment. I live in a duplex for two people. We got an upstairs, we got a downstairs. She was downstairs, I was on the couch. I say that to say that everything that you just said resonates with me truly, because she's looking at me like, this is what your day-to-day is like. Like, she hears it from Baltimore. When I call her every Sunday, we talk. But to see it and to see me working until 3 a.m. and come home, she's like, "You still at work? Like, I got to do this. Like, this has to be done."
Yeah.
You know, and I think she got real insight to see that, like, I guess from afar she thought, like, oh, you know, he's not using his degree. He's not really working. He's not doing anything. But it's like, yo, I'm grinding out here to get where I need to be. And a year, 2 years from now, you're going to think, like, damn, I really saw him putting his work in. And now I see why he's in the position that he's in because of what he sacrificed and what he was willing to do. So
Absolutely.
I'd respect and see that for sure.
Where do you attribute the resolve and determination in that story? Because I see that that's a part of, again, just as a rite of passage inside of this training space. If you make it to a level that people are going to seek you out for what it is you do, you have to have that inherently. Where did you get that from?
You know, I think it's rooted in, I have a slightly problematic relationship with money.
Okay.
Because I've been determined, capital determined, all letters in the word, to be self-sustaining and to be self-sufficient. Basically, by the time I learned how to spell self-sufficient.
Nice.
Still kind of can't. But, so one of my primary goals is basically it's fuck you, pay me. And
say that one more time, Roz. I don't think they heard him.
Fuck you, pay me.
Here we go.
So I don't have any other options. My family is fantastic, but there's not some random pile of a couple $1,000, a couple $1 million just sitting there waiting for me. Like, oh, if this doesn't work, it's all right. We got you. You know. So there's no rich uncle. There's no secret accounts anywhere. There's no spouse. It's me. So I don't have an option other than make it work, figure it out somehow. And I think that's, I just got to chalk it up to that middle working class, like seeing your parents do that. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
And so you're like, well, can't let my parents down because that's the worst middle class thing you could do. And you know, I haven't, and they, you know, like I said, my family's been absolutely amazing during everything that's happened, but it's a hustle. And I think, you know, one thing that I think helps me and perhaps other creatives might not have that, is actually having a business degree. That not underground.
I was like the underground entrepreneur.
Oh, that, yo, you out here? I ain't even heard of that.
I'm signing up for that workshop. I was like, all right,
lit.
Listen, it'd be a lot cheaper.
I'm ready for it.
No, I got my undergrad degree from GW, and so that's actually, all my friends right now, not all of them, but a good amount of them, they've got masters, they've got MBAs, they are doing actual real jobs. So, you are the company you keep. So I'm fortunate that I'm with a whole bunch of other overachieving people of every shade of chocolate and vanilla. So if you see, you don't want to be that one friend in the group that is slacking over here. Mm-hmm. And that also means that, though, when you need help or any kind of support, you already have a good network of that. Because friends don't let friends make really terrible financial decisions, just mediocrely bad ones. And they're also like, listen, if we believe in you, then we believe that we might also profit from this. So what I'm gonna need you to do, Roz, is go ahead, shine, make this money so we can all retire, as it turns out.
Look at that. The vested interest being built inside of the friendships that you're making over there is pretty critical. I like that a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to Edwin, who is my he's basically made himself my business manager.
Okay.
We were actually coworkers almost 10 years ago, him and Martine, and both of them, we're each other's unofficial financial and career advisors, meaning we can't make a major decision without at least one of the other two co-signing. And really just that means all of us have to co-sign before you go and do something.
I love that.
That's a good look.
There's a lot that can be benefited from that, and I hope people are stopping and paying attention to it, because, again, you're talking about now transcending past what the wellness arena has dictated for that side, and you're really talking about building your brand and the architecture that comes along with that inside that space. So one, kudos to having the business background, because that's a hell of a step forward in the right direction that most wellness professionals have starting up and working up through the ranks. They usually have all the passion and none of the direction when it comes to the business side. I like to differentiate the being in fitness and the fitness industry as two totally different things.
Jesus, the industry is awful.
The industry is a completely different thing. But you're now starting to talk about that you have a team and you have people that you balance the stuff off of and people that you go to for larger business decisions. You're sounding like you're adjusting to the industry demands.
I'm glad I sound that way.
Yeah.
I am 100% not. Admittedly, even with my business background is good because I can understand concepts like profit loss, gross profit, gross margin, spreadsheets. Excel doesn't scare me, that's definitely helpful. But in terms of direction of where I'm going, I'm messy, to be quite honest. I know I'm trying to reconcile what I want to do,
right,
and also trying to figure out what I want to do, reconcile that with what people want to pay me to do, and then trying to find a middle ground between the two of those.
Yeah.
Which is really hard because also, one challenging thing that comes with having so much support is that everybody will give you a lot of mostly good ideas of things that you could do. And they're like, do you know you could be all of these things. You could do this. You could do that. And they're right. I could. So, but I have to remember not to feel guilty that I haven't done those things yet, because then I feel like, oh, I didn't do them yet. I failed. I was like, nah, son, you haven't failed. Like, you're all right. And also me, I move extremely slow, frustratingly slow for everybody else, because I am extremely methodical with the decisions. I'm the person making, like, literally doing a weighted pros and cons list, not just a regular one, but assigning value to each of the pros and each of the cons, and then going through it with so many people and talking out, and then talking to Beyonce about it. And it's just, I do not make quick decisions at all. And so that's been frustrating for some people because they're like, will you get your life and do this project? And so that's definitely my weakest area is Right now I'm in, what I call business puberty.
Okay.
Is being in this business puberty sucks.
Huh. Business puberty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just taking that in for a second. I want
Right,
to
you
make
had to
sure I
let
got
that breathe for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Because, Roz, I'd like to champion you for having that sense of awareness. Because, again, a lot of people who come into this with the inverse logic end up thinking that they have all the things that they need to get to the next space that they want to be in and are shocked when you get there and you don't have the actual business acumen. So I don't care how long it actually takes. The fact that you're doing this practice right now is going to be critical to the results, at least in my belief.
Thank you.
Yeah. And again, that's just coming from me. I don't have nothing about nothing. I wish I could tell you it was coming from a higher source. But in my opinion, that sounds like it's a pretty good way to go about it, So I want to shout you out for doing that. Brother Corey, you have something you want to jump on that?
Yeah, somebody else who's climbing with no rope.
We
all
Yep.
right here climbing with no rope. We feel you, like
Off the strength.
yeah,
Right?
No, I definitely share the sentiment with them, and I'm somewhat of that person too, where I don't move unless I feel it's time to do so, and and they can attest. I very much move at my own pace.
Yeah,
And
me too.
I'm not speeding up or slowing down for anybody, and I think that mindset it can be crippling, but it also can be rewarding. It depends on your perception of it, essentially, and that space of trying to find what you want to do and what people are willing to pay you for, I think it's more of just doing what you want to do. Essentially, the check is going to come. It may not be right away. It may not be right now. But if you are living in your truth and doing what it is that you want to do, that's essentially a superpower. I believe that. And people will pay you for that because they don't have it.
Yeah, and I have been really fortunate because when I do have a new idea of some sorts and actually do it usually works out well. And, some don't work out as well as others, but you're totally right in that. And I'm not a risk taker at all, which is the craziest thing for any sort of entrepreneur to say.
I find that hard to believe.
That's what I was about to say, Roz.
on this poll.
Oh, God, no.
Roz, this is our first point of conflict in the story.
No, I am Chucky from Rugrats. I don't.
I got questions.
Yes.
Gang of them.
Those things don't line up at all.
No, at all.
Those things don't line up at all. You
Throwing the
can't
flag
tell
on
me you
this
just
one.
lean out on the pole and do what you do, but you're not a risk
No
taker.
taking risks?
Well, that's because my thighs is done. Like I trust my legs to do whatever they need to do. We've been through a lot together, so it does. You're right.
But
in that is a
at
walking
some point,
contradiction.
you didn't trust those legs, and you got up there anyway.
True story. Pole in particular is a lot of. You're gonna try this. You're gonna fail 90% of the time. 1% it's gonna work out, and the other 9% is for fun, sparkly shoes. And you're right. There's a lot of not trusting, but similar to with business, nobody polls alone.
Right.
Not one single person polls alone. Even if you're physically alone, sequestered in a room somewhere, everybody's got one or two Instagram friends or Facebook peoples or somebody to run something by. Or even if you don't have a friend, you're watching other people's videos and figuring out how to do something. So there's a lot of that support is there. So when you are terrified, because you will be, there's usually somebody like your fairy god Diva who is literally saying, my hand is going to be on this ass cheek. The other hand is going to be on this part of your back. We got you.
For sure.
And especially with non-traditional athletes, which is who I spend most of my time working with, and those who are underrepresented in fitness, we make sure that instead of one person, there's 3 people literally under you making a net. So even if you wanted to fall and bust your ass, you couldn't. You physically cannot do that with
3 people underneath you.
people underneath you.
Right on. I want to go back to the people who are not traditionally represented in fitness in a second, but I do want to, before we get into that, I want to unpack a little bit more in that story as to push back against you saying that you don't take risks, because I've heard a number of risks just in your story that you said. So, Roz, I'm sorry. This is the first time in our brief history of knowing each other that I have to disagree with you, but
No problem.
that's the first point. I would say, going back to our friend Ricky talking about knowing you're dope and knowing that dope doesn't spoil in different categories. You know, being somebody that is a creative person and you come up with all these different ideas doesn't mean that you have to execute every single one of these ideas in that instant. If it were determined by that, think of the mania, literally a manic situation that you'd have to be in. It's like, all right, I got to be, creating something every single second of the day. And I was like, that doesn't work out. I don't know if that's going to be something that a lifelong pursuit is going to be, set to that trajectory. But I would say if you do have these ideas and you do have your support network and you do have the people that you can bounce honest ideas off of and they can give you real critique in that space. Hey, this isn't right for right now. Hey, this is we can opportunistically use this at peak popularity. Hey, we can do this at different points in time. That kind of synergy, that kind of strategy, that takes risk to even get to that standpoint. So I have to appreciate you for already building that up and seeing where you're going to go in that direction. Now, let's come back to the underrepresented inside this wellness community, because this is something that we try to alert our masses about every single week that we touch on these microphones. Now, can you speak a little bit of truth to what you're speaking of when you go into that space? I think I have an idea, but I'd like to hear it from you.
Sure. So I consider myself plus size. I'm 5'5", right now, probably about 252. And also a little bald, but not all the way. I just have a really good cut. Shout out to Winston. Thanks.
Props to Winston.
Yes. So there's not a lot of people that look like me in pole dancing. And then to be teaching and in a position of leadership and to have this as a serious part of my career, there damn sure aren't a lot of people who look like me. And in fact, I literally know every person within pole. I'm pretty sure I know all the plus size instructors. There's probably about 50 of us through the country. I think 50 is way too generous. It's probably something like 30. But it's a small network. And anyway, I didn't seek out to be like the plus size trainer, but that's just kind of what happened because representation matters more than people ever know. And you don't realize how important representation is until you see somebody who you can physically relate to. And that is game over. And so what happened is when I started taking advanced pole classes, I very, very, very slowly started to leak things out online, similar to what you were talking about with your friend, is, not put it all the way on blast first, but just like...
Slow teaser?
Yeah, a little slow teaser. And as I started competing more and people would see me on stage in front of maybe a couple hundred people, it was like, oh snap, I didn't know this was a possibility for somebody who looked like me. And I'm fortunate because I feel like I have a built-in target market. I didn't have to go out and figure out who is going to be my client, who should I focus on, because those people were coming to me and they were the ones commenting, liking, sharing, engaging with my materials on and offline. So I feel like my target is me. It's, it started out with just plus size women was my focus, but I really expanded that to be underrepresented athletes, because also what I found is that even if you can't relate to someone's otherness, if you're somehow close by and you don't have a direct representative for your peeps, then I have other peeps saying, well, if you like this person, I hope you like me too. An example, besides working with plus size women, I have a lot of people who identify as queer. And it's not a market that I was directly targeting or going after, but from what I understand, they're like, listen, we see that you're co-signing with all these other gym misfits, and we also feel like a misfit, so I feel like you seem open enough to rock with me, even though I don't directly relate to them. I do in a lot of ways, of course. Like, everyone's people are people, and listen, no one likes cardio, so we good. So in that regard, so it's I've worked with, like I said, a lot of people who identify as queer, plus size women, Also some disabled clients, and a lot of people working through trauma and grief, and or anxiety and depression. That's probably one of the most common threads. Actually, it doesn't matter because not all of my clients are plus size or identify as other in some way, shape, or form. But physically, from the outside, they might look like. Why would they have issues going to work out in the gym? They're conventionally sized. It's not a big deal, but there's still an extraordinary amount of trauma. Some of it relates to working out and fitness and weight, and some of it is just other life shit.
Right.
So, we're a band of misfit toys, and I'm never, ever, ever changing that.
A band of misfit toys. I love every single sentiment inside there. Fellas, what you feeling on that?
Man, I love that. A lot of my clients subscribe to the tribe different, and it's always good to see when I bring them into a different type of space, and I always try to prepare everyone for like what's going on and make sure I go to the right places. You know what I mean? Because also a lot of places that make people feel comfortable that are a little more open-minded to different types of training and different types of clients and different types of people tend to get like underlooked. They don't get the same amount of push.
Absolutely.
They don't get the same amount of attention. So it's always dope when I can find a place like that and then bring my people right up in there and, develop a community because you're always looking to expand your tribe.
Yeah. And, a thing that you mentioned that's really important is accessibility in various forms. It's one thing, I don't think there's a gym out there that would actively say, we don't want anybody over 200 pounds here. Everyone's going to say, come on in. We love you. Let's work. Let's rock. But the reality is your machines are set up for people who are much smaller. Or in my case, some of the gyms that I work at, it's clear that the manufacturers only thought about 6-foot dudes using the machines. And it's not accessible. So it's those little microaggressions which aren't on purpose, but that's going to keep people away more than anything else. And so it is imperative for me to go above and beyond and out of my way as much as I can to make sure that a space is physically accessible for my people. And it's not easy to do sometimes. And like I found some really great places where I love it. Like one of the gyms that I train at, it's a bunch of meatheads there.
Okay.
And there's people, just dudes big for no reason. And when I'm not low key husband hunting, it's awesome just to be, cause everybody's real cool and they're serious about what they do. So my clients, particularly those who are larger, they feel all right there because it's not like another big box gym where people are there to be cute.
Right.
And to look at their cuteness. But so I could not agree anymore. And thank you actually on behalf of your clients and other people who've never felt like they belonged for you having that mindset to do what you can to help them belong and to be connector sounds cheeseball, but a liaison. There we go. To be a liaison between a seemingly inaccessible community and then the peeps who really need it and who trust you.
For sure. Props to that. There's so many hurdles inside of coming into any type of wellness spaces and, just embarking on that journey of getting you to be better, quote unquote, whatever that's going to be, should be determined by you. But there's so many things that come up along those lines. It could be all the past histories, the past traumas, kind of like you're speaking to, Roz, that would prevent somebody from doing any type of activity. So if we introduce even more into that scenario, think about how much of a stigma that can be. Think about what the advertising looks like. Think about what the outreach inside the classrooms look like inside of certain facilities that are not as welcoming as you're speaking to.
Yeah.
That is probably the reason why we still only have 20% of the population being a part of this conversation.
And I think 20% is generous.
Yeah.
It's just,
it's historically not moved from the inception of that, and there's probably a multitude of reasons as to why. So I champion anybody that's always going to be investigating and seeing how we can keep moving that frontier line a little bit further out. I totally all in on this, Roz. Love the way this is going. Now, Roz, I got a question. I see something on this bio.
I got you.
I want to understand what Dangerous Curves documentary was about.
Oh, yes.
Can you break this out for me? Because this sounds titillating, to say the least.
So Dangerous Curves is the first plus-size pole dancing competition that existed. It's not the only one right now, but we came in first. And it started because I was very fortunate. Probably at the time I started, which was in August of 2012, I'd probably been about a part of, I would say, probably about 30 or 40 shows, pole dancing shows. And as wonderful as my friends and my coaches and everyone else was, I found myself being the only one who looked like me. And that's exhausting. And I just figured, I was like, I wonder if there's anybody else who kind of looks like me out there. And so I put something up on Facebook. The studio that I was at, Sacred, which is in Brooklyn, the studio owner was awesome and basically let me have my own little playground there. I was like, can I just do some things and like invite a bunch of people and like spend a little bit of your money, but I think we'll make it up. So is that cool? And it was cool, thank goodness. And we ended up having people travel from 6 different states to come and to be a part of this first plus-size pole dancing competition. And what is amazing, what I've learned is when you take a whole bunch of people who are otherwise othered, you put all of those others together and suddenly we're just people again.
Yeah.
And it's the little bits of comfort go such a long way. So, for example, backstage at these plus-size pole dancing events, I think I've produced probably about 10 events or so since then. It's not feeling like, let me go to the bathroom and change because I don't want everyone to see, the parts of my body that I consider undesirable. It's, I don't mind changing around other people because they all look like me. And now it's like, oh, if I forgot a pair of shorts or something, someone probably has something in my actual size that fits, or they have tips like, oh my God, your bra fits. Where the hell did you get it? And so there's a comfort level that comes with it. And so since that first competition, Dangerous Curves, we've gone on to have, I believe, 6 or 7 other competitions and a few other showcases that we do, which is basically people performing, but they're not judged and it's not scored. And Dangerous Curves has been, just like with my business, it's gone up, it's gone down. It kind of morphs into whatever I need it to be for that particular year or that particular quarter. But generally speaking, that's what it is. And then I guess this is almost 3 years ago. I don't know. Everything blends into time is all the same. But I had 3 of my friends from high school. One of them happened to be a documentarian, and the other one had bomb camera skills, and then a third was this incredible educator, and she's incredibly insightful. And so the 3 of them were like, pole sounds good. Let's just film a bunch of stuff. We don't know what we're going to do with it, but we have resources, and, it was a passion project for everyone. So I was like, all right, cool. So they filmed a bunch of stuff, and we ended up making a documentary, and Dangerous Curves, as we called it. And the documentary, we were very fortunate because it got picked up by the New York Times and it was featured on the New York Times. I actually have a screenshot of the homepage of the New York Times where Trump is blowing himself up, but then there's me in the corner.
That's a hell of a day.
Yeah, hey, who you telling?
That's me under Trump right there.
Jesus.
Shout out to me under Trump.
Yeah, basically. So, and that documentary went on to win a bunch of awards for it, and it was shown at probably 10 or 15 different small film festivals. So, but I mean, I say I worked on it, but I just didn't shut up. And they basically followed me around doing what just coming to class. Regular things that I did they came to 1 or 2 of the Dangerous Curves shows that I did, and they filmed it just cause. And then it took on this incredible form that I'm so fortunate, when I'm 99 years old in the home with no teeth and I can barely see, I'm going to be rolling my ass around with a big ass LED screen.
Hell yeah.
Just having that on loop.
Know.
Just let them know. Don't get it twisted.
He's like, hold on, you put them little crackers down. Watch me on the screen over here. Let me show you what I was working with. It's like, this is how I might be in a chair now, but
that's my plan.
I respect the hell out of that. I see you. And again, this is my pushback against all the BS that you was trying to say and not taking risks. Yeah. Roz, I don't know.
When you trying to pioneer chair dancing at the old folks' home, you know what I mean?
That's some risky business.
Martha, you better get that leg up, Martha.
Well, it's I would consider myself, I'm not fearless, but I'm fuckless.
There we go.
After when you've been broke as hell, like food stamps, unemployment broke, which I was for a while, and you've been fired, then it's like, well, might as well just be honest about what I want to do. And, because I don't have anywhere else to go. I'm down here. So, and then I got used to just being fuckless, and I don't code switch now anymore.
There we go.
Cause I just know, you're gonna get Roz. Maybe I'll switch it up for Grammy, of course, because I still need that apple pie connection.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that.
Yeah, no. Grammy's going to get. I'm gonna wear this charter club suit.
There we go.
But, Grammy gets me in clothes, but everybody else I'm like, whatever. So, and that gets you, there's a comfort that comes with that. And then after a while, man, this authenticity thing is addicting. Mm-hmm. So, and I think why there seems to be a conflict between me, me saying I don't take risks, but people are like, oh my God, you're so brave, is because the things that I enjoy doing are usually other people's nightmares, like being naked on the internet and being loud in front of public speaking. That's literally holy shit, you're going to die if those two things happen. Yeah. But for me, honestly, that's my comfort zone. Right on. So I can't say that I'm doing these really brave, bold choices because this is please, someone just give me a mic in front of 2 people. And I got this.
You ready to rock? That's the MC heart inside there. I understand it.
Yeah.
That in me. You got to perform when the mic is on.
Yeah.
It's ready to go.
I would say to you that you're not an uncalculated mistake. You take risks, but you don't just.
Oh yeah, they're calculus.
I think that might be what your argument is with people, where the confusion is you don't take uncalculated risks. You don't just close your eyes and jump. You figure it out, you plan it out, you get it together, but you are jumping.
Yes,
I'm just not going to jump right now with my eyes closed. I'm going to jump with my eyes open and understand what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm going to jump with a full backpack full of, chapstick, tissues, and some cash.
Yeah.
and
whatever you need to keep your teeth. I want you to have your teeth when you're older. I feel like you don't need to lose them.
Essential.
Don't just let them go. Don't just write the teeth off. We
All
can keep
essential.
teeth. Let's keep teeth in 2045. Let's have teeth.
For sure. Do you hear her speaking? She talks about product market fit, identifying your target audience. It's again, this is why I can't take you seriously when you're talking about identifying the risk before you jump into this space. It's all right, I hear the business side of it very well. It is thought out. It is applied to your very circumstances that you're in right now, and also has future tenses inside that. Not I did, but I'm going to do.
Yes.
I hear that even if it's not intentional. That's why I was all right, Roz, come on, who you playing with?
No, you can definitely call me all bullshit all the time.
We in the same game
we
right
are
now.
going
I see where you at.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, you guys are now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you with us. You ain't going to get no bullshit over here.
All right, Roz. I hear what you're saying, but I see how you're moving, and I got to
We're not the cousins you can lie to. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
We're not them cousins.
Yeah, no. But as you said, everything I do is extremely calculated. I'm talking about 4 formulas on Excel. Let me see what had happened, and then do light an Ave Maria candle from the 99-cent store.
Not the one.
No, it is. Because those candles.
But it don't burn right.
It doesn't.
The light
Maria be leaning.
No, it looks like.
She be leaning. I don't know.
It was printed on a dot matrix from 1993, and someone put rubber cement on it, and
it get real hot. Why does it get so hot? It's that one little light, but the whole candle be cooking. The whole candle be cooking.
Shout out to the Bodega Love outside.
I got them bodega candles, man. Them things don't have a power outage, and that's all you got.
Yeah.
Your room gonna be 176 degrees because you got 4 candles lit,
and then
burning off your fingertips.
The next day.
Yeah, you good.
But you can't warm up a Pop-Tart good on them things, though.
I ain't never hit that.
You gotta live that life, baby.
Let's skip past that one.
If you never had butter on a Pop-Tart, you haven't lived.
All right.
We
not doing
Talk to me.
that.
I'm gonna let Corey do.
Talk to me.
I'm gonna let Corey do what he do. The butter Pop-Tart.
Hey.
I just want to take the time to, I guess, champion the representation matters part.
Yes.
Currently, I'm going through yoga teacher training right now.
Ooh.
So my classroom consists of me and about 20 white women and a man. And then there's me. And for the listeners out there who can't see me, obviously you can see me, but there is no me there. And I feel like you said, just something of showing up to a class and having shorts that are your size, or having someone that can relate to what you've been through, is a huge part of it that's missing in that wellness industry. And just throughout your story, I'm inspired. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Now I'm ready to hit the pole. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Listen,
get Jones on the pole.
What's
But
up?
let me tell you though, no bullshit. I've taught every walk of life. I have taught every body type. I will happily, and a lot of dudes also pole.
Wow.
A lot of them. So the thing is, you can't just throw that out casually around me because I'll give you my schedule. We will be on a pole so fast.
And be
Let's
ready
do
to
this.
work.
I'm here. What's up?
I would be
Jones, you in?
honored.
See, my
I'd be
only
honored.
You
reservation
in?
is if I don't get the good tips that day, I'm gonna be real upset. Like that's for real. If I'm gonna come out, I gotta be all right. Come on, what we working with now? I gotta see what my cash flow is like.
The one stipulation I do need to have is I need to know what 3 people are going to be under me because I'm not exactly lightweight over here. I need to know how my legs are put together.
Somebody's
You know.
a good lifter.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting when you mention that because we're joking about it now, but that's the very thing of, oh my gosh, I'm so heavy, I'm gonna kill the person underneath me. That is the number one fear of plus size athletes, is that I'm gonna hurt somebody who's trying to help me because they're smaller. And generally speaking, you know, it's really unnerving for someone to support your body weight physically and mentally. So I'm like low key terrified of it, but that's why you get Diva behind it. And one of the things that's been the best advantage of me pole dancing at my size is because I will have students who will not do movements that they're capable of simply because they have a smaller instructor or smaller co-students around them. And they're like, if something happens, I don't want to kill them. Reality, they're not going to. But when I come around, they're like, Roz is a brick house. I know she's got me. Let's try this and let's do it. So I know how to spot people correctly. I know how to do this from physics, just straight physics. I know how to do this. I've been doing this long enough. I teach other people how to teach and how to work with plus size and larger athletes. So I got you.
There
All
we
right.
go.
I got you.
Let's do it.
We pulling up. We gotta get the cameras ready for this day. This is gonna be an off the strength event.
I think we'll be holding up and not pulling up.
All right, there we go.
You'll be both actually.
Exactly.
You gotta pull up to
Spinning
hold
around.
up.
Okay.
There we go. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this action. We gotta get the cameras ready. Make sure we're here. Roz. Now, we've pushed back on the reluctancy in terms of identifying you taking these risks. I want to also, again, commend you for all the positivity that I see throughout this whole story. If I had to ask you about success, how do you define that? What's that look like, and where do you see it going forward?
So right now, success for me would be able to pay all my bills on time, in full, get myself out of tax debt. Shout out to entrepreneur, tax debt.
For real?
Get that knocked out of the way. And then have disposable income where I could order seamless and not think twice about it, maybe once or twice a week. I would like to, further down the road in success. I want to secure housing and transportation for the rest of my family, make sure that's something that they don't have to worry about. And then from the non-financial standpoint, I want to make sure that I produce content that I'll stand by all the time, and I'm also, I would also see success as being authentically yourself, whatever that is, and I'll be successful if I don't have to make myself palatable for other people, which is something that I used to do, which isn't the worst thing in the world all the time, but it just wasn't working for me after a while. So I want to make sure, I want to do the things that I just mentioned and just do them where they're authentically me, that they're ethically me also, and stuff that I can stand by in 20, 40, 50 years.
Okay, right on. I'm loving every part of that. Roz, now we have a way that we like to impart a little extra information on our listeners before we head out of here. Something that they can do off the strength. Now, you done gave me so many different gems that I can go through. So first of all, I think the title of the episode has to be somewhere along the lines of "We're out of fucks" or "We're not inside that fear space."
Fuckless.
I'm not fearless. I'm fuckless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's probably
I'm not
what's
fearless.
going on.
I'm fuckless. Sounds like the jam.
That has to
Yeah.
be the title. So
Yeah.
just so you know, we're gonna have to put that out there. But is there
I'm here for it.
any other information that you would say you go to on a daily kind of basis? You know what? All right, Roz, I know I was bugging out. I was saying I don't take risks. Psst, they called me on it. I got to own up to it. What's some of the things that you pack along with you, taking you throughout the day that you use to keep championing this mindset and keep finding ways to be authentically yourself?
I think being so I do a lot of work on social media.
Okay.
I post every day on Facebook and Instagram, and I think it's actually not what I pack, but what I unpack there. So I recently, for example, I put out how much money I've made to the dollar, at least according to QuickBooks and Excel, for the first 6 months of 2019, which was about $45,813. And, my goal was $50,000. And, with that, I was like, oh, you're almost on target. But then I was like, I also spent a whole bunch of money on my credit cards because I didn't have as much cash because I was doing this and that and this. So I think actually putting out the imperfections for all to see make going through them so much easier, because it's not all you holding on to these, like trying to hold on to the secret of perfection and trying to hold on to this myth that everything, just because I have a good day lifting, which hopefully will be later today, that means that everything else is taken care of.
Right.
So I think a thing that has helped me so much is just being honest. And that's actually when I've gotten so much feedback, and people are like, thank God you don't always have your shit together. And that's what draws people in, because you go from being a concept of success and somebody who is untouchable because they must have something that you don't, because there's no way both you and this person that you admire are on the same plane. But I tell people, I'm not looking up to people, I'm looking side to side and around to people, because there's nothing that I have. There are a few social economic things, whatever. We don't have time for that, but that's another podcast. But generally speaking, like there's no magic that I have that other people don't.
Right. And
so telling people, like, being transparent is really, the best thing. That's what I try and do with my clients. I try and do with my fans, as much as I can, as much as I'm comfortable with.
Roz, it sounds like you found that value that you was looking for at the top of this hour, Roz. It's trying to, again, transfer. My biggest issue is trying to take my personality and put it into a product. And that's where the disconnect is happening. And I have some ideas floating, but we're working some shit out. Let's talk it out. We'll figure this thing out.
Shout out to being meticulous enough to going about 45,813.
Yeah, about. And 2 cents.
I say about because, like, let's be real, QuickBooks is on there, but I was like, there's still so much work that comes with, like, this is the stuff, too, that I think they kind of know what happens with entrepreneurship, but they don't, for real, know it. Like, if you don't know your numbers, it's over.
For sure.
You could have the best art, the best product, but if you don't know numbers, it's done. I also watch way too much Shark Tank and way too much The Profit and listen to tons of podcasts about business and money. So that's the common thread is you don't know numbers, get out of my face.
Damn. I mean, Raj just hit us with so much on that numbers, off the string.
Get out my
so
face.
many. If you don't know numbers, get out my face, though.
Yeah.
I love it, right?
That's the first real fuck you pay me, so.
Listen.
You got some aggressive T-shirts. That's what I'm saying.
I do.
These are some aggressive.
See, but when these shirts are landed, right, we got to understand what the cost is once they're landed.
Yeah,
when
and
they
how
come
many,
down.
and then is it worth it for me to, merch is a thing, a big thing. People are always like, wear T-shirts, wear stuff. And I'm like, I've done the merch. I know how much money up front it's going to take, and I know how much time it's going to take. And I was like, I could also just go out and work for 3 hours instead of 3 months and make the same amount of profit. So
I hear you. There's going to be there's a point in which I hear a multitude story, and you have to produce a product for that multitude story, because you one-on-one versus you one to the millions that are potential inside there. That's the more lucrative upside inside there, rather than I see a clear green way inside that space. It might take a little bit of time.
Yes.
Some calculations.
Yeah.
Get the numbers right.
That's where
we're
at right now, is trying to figure out the hell that is.
I hear it, but taken away again from that story, the core essence of being authentic through and through, making sure that you appraise your surroundings the best of ways, keeping a good set of people around you, because the tribe's got to be strong. You know, and then finally one day you could be in that fuck you pay me position, as Ross has just put out there. I totally understand it.
Off the strength.
Off the strength. That's how we had to come back inside there.
I like how you brought that around.
Right? We had to make sure we tied that all back in together. Roz, the good people are going to need to know where to find you and keep up with all the awesome stuff that you have. Can you please let us know how we can track you down and be like, Roz, I need that diva life?
For sure. So I am everywhere at Roz, R-O-Z, the Diva. Instagram and Facebook are what I populate the most. But besides working in New York City, where I'm based, I also travel the country and sometimes travel internationally teaching pole dancing workshops.
Okay.
So if you go to rozthediva.com, I have my schedule, including every registration link, everywhere I'm going to be. October, I'll be in Seattle and Anchorage and Chicago and Champaign-Urbana. And then I'll be in, I have a couple other things that aren't official, so can't drop those yet.
Okay.
But then coming up in March, I'll be in London and Scotland. And basically, I'm booked for the next year or so.
Okay.
So come through, peeps.
That's what's up. Booked and busy.
Little light flex. Little light booked for the year. You know, lightly booked for the year.
Trying to make it happen.
You know, calculated.
You know,
calculatedly booked. You know what I'm saying?
In QuickBooks. Quick booked for the year, if you will.
Yeah. Told you. This is like, Roz, we're going to get to this underneath the surface. We see what's going on.
I got you.
And we salute it every time.
Thank you.
That's why it's not a risk.
Yeah, exactly. It's
True story.
Makes all the sense to me. Folks, once again, it's been another fantastic episode of Off the Strength. I'm a trainer called Tony.
K.R. Jones.
You're trainer Corey.
Peace to the homie Troy. Peace and much love to y'all. Until next time, we'll see you soon.